Okay, this is the garden, and today, very important thing. I figured I'd shoot this video because, I don't know, seemed like a good idea, kind of an important thing for people who are growing zucchinis out of buckets or out of pots in the yard. Why do I do that? Because why they come out of pots is because I don't have the room to grow them on the ground. I really don't. We have little patches of grass here. This is my neighbor's yard over there. This is my yard over here. So, just put this patio in not too long ago. Anywho, let's do a little tour here. This is, let me do it sideways. Morning glories, I guess, is supposed to grow on this thing here, but it is what it is. Anyway, so zucchinis, just to give you a heads up, if you ever decide to grow zucchinis in your own thing, they grow towards the sun, right? Like any plant. So as they grow towards the sun, they will turn in the pot. Okay, which means that sometimes you have to turn the pot to where you want them to go. Otherwise, they will grow out the pot. Okay. Keeping this in mind, issues I have with this. So I have this big tree. I don't know if you guys can see. I think it's called a dogwood. Anyway. Things grow everywhere. Things grow in the trees. Anyway, we have these worms that will burrow into your plants and eventually kill them. And the only reason why they're burrowing is because there's fungus growing on the plant. So they eat the fungus, thereby eating the plant. So today, a few times this past week, I've had to treat this, and by treating it, meaning you have to cut the worm out, dig it, get in there, get the worm out, and then cut it. Hopefully, before it burrows any farther. So I take a little bit of hydrogen peroxide with water, just a little bit of hydrogen peroxide with a full thing of water, and spray it. After getting the worm out, I spray the fungus with that. Okay, and then I have some neem oil, which is an oil made from seeds, to spray the plant with. Okay, and that is to prevent fungus and bugs and anything else interested in going on the plant. Okay, and then I rub some dirt in it to hopefully keep things moving along. Okay, got rose bushes here. I got another little rose bush down there. And we're under the tree now. Okay, this is a Stellantis plant. This thing will grow flowers all over the place. And it's growing here, and I got some growing here, and then I got my tomato plants, and then cucumbers. Okay, and I pretty much spray neem oil on everything. Only problem with neem oil is the best stuff to get is the stuff that's already pre-mixed with water, so that you don't have to worry about doing too much. Otherwise, if you get the stuff that's in a jug already, that's not pre-made, not pre-mixed in a jug, then you have to figure out the amounts. And I will tell you this, that if you do too much neem oil on your plants, it will slow down the process of the flowering process, which you need for your plants to produce vegetables and fruits. Okay? Some plants are more sensitive to neem oil than others. Like the tomato plants here, too much will cause wilting, even though you're trying to prevent it from bugs from biting or chewing on the plants. Too much will kill the leaves, which I have found out this year. Last year I tried it out for the first time and I didn't have much of a problem with it because I was using the pre-mix stuff. This year I've been using a combination of pre-mixed and stuff that has been mixed, and the stuff that has been mixed is a lot more concentrated than I thought. And of course my tomato plants took a hit from it because I did not figure out the amounts quite well. I just stick a tomato plant up there, hopefully it's getting red. These are odd tomato plants, by the way. I forgot they're heirloom tomato plants, I think. But yes, so it slows down the process. Right now we're in late July, and I should have tomatoes by now, and these guys have taken a long time to get there. And of course now they just started flowering. I have a few flowers there, but not as much as like last year. Last year I was popping tomatoes left and right. This year, this ain't happening. Cucumbers. So with neem oil, what I do is I try to spray the roots with it. Like this one right here is getting a lot of fungus on it, and it seems to be non-stop. I don't know why. This one, out of all the plants here, except for maybe this one, has had a fungus issue. When they get fungus on them, it gets a little powdery on it. I try to do this at night, not so much during the day, because during the day, if it's too hot and sunny, anything you spray on these leaves, anything you spray on plants is going to cause them to cause a little bit of rot to them, so you don't, or burn as it is. So you don't want too much on them. Just what I do is I just spray around the roots. That seems to be the best way with neem oil. Just spray around the roots, the dirt, anything around it, and that usually prevents the fungus and also bugs from chewing on your plants. For those who've never had cucumbers before, there's one bug. This guy right here, he has a family of bugs that live on the plants, and don't try to get rid of them. I found out that these guys are actually helpful to your plants. These guys are engineers that are constantly dealing with eating the minor bugs and anything else that may cause damage to the plants. And as long as you keep them happy, they'll keep your plants happy. So these guys are growing, and then like I said, like these guys, I should be getting cucumbers off this plant soon. Should be growing one or two, but I don't know. They haven't started flowering yet, and it's now late July, and I had another group of cucumbers growing, and I used the wrong fertilizer, because I thought I was using the right one, and it turned out to be a 10-10-10, and it's not supposed to be a 10-10-10, which is the wrong pH for your plants. So the wrong fertilizer will kill your fucking cucumbers, will burn your cucumbers, as well as any other plant, zucchini, stuff like that. Make sure you do your due diligence and use the right fertilizer. If you've already used fertilizer and you've got it in your soil already and pre-mixed and all that jazz, just because your plants aren't growing as fast as you thought they would with that type of soil, that usually happens. Depends on what the plant is. Zucchinis will grow fast as shit. Other plants tend to take a little while. There's no things happen for a reason. If they don't grow fast, it's because they're not getting enough sun, either that or not getting enough water, or there's something wrong with the soil. Um, but then some things have time. Take time. You gotta have patience. Okay. Just because they haven't grown in 2-3 weeks doesn't mean they're not growing. Okay. And I learned the hard way, and I had to start all over again. So, thankfully, the soil, because I had used that fertilizer, it for the next batch to grow, they grew faster. So, it is what it is. You know, just make sure you use the right fertilizer the first time. That's all. Don't add it after they've grown. If they're growing, they don't add any fertilizer. You're fine. Just when you have the soil pre-made and you've already got the fertilizer in the soil, then you're adding your seeds. Then leave it alone. So back on the topic of worms, because of these plants being attacked by worms, and because they curl so much, these worms like to burrow at the corner. So as it going around a circle, okay, if they're going around, they want to get in a niche. Okay, so they like to catch the pockets. If I show you where I had to this morning. I had to fix this one here. See how I don't know if you guys can tell where I cut, where I took the knife to. So I cut here, and it burrowed inside, right in there, and so I sprayed it with hydrogen peroxide and water, and then put some neem oil spray on it. Hopefully that'll prevent. And there's another one here. This one was worse. This was the worst one. Now, zucchini plants tend to be pretty good, pretty survivable plants, as long as you don't really treat them bad. But because this plant, it's getting to a point where these things burrowed in so well that it's now like a thin area here, and it's really almost fragile to fuck around with, because if you look at the plant, how it's turning this way, and any more bend to it, it's going to screw it up. See how I don't know if you can tell. See how it's a little wiggle. It got a little wiggleness there. So trying to be very careful about not cutting any farther. And that's the problem with these worms. They will burrow in either sideways. This one burrowed in this way, and then the other one burrowed in through the top. So we got two guys working at the same time, burrowing into the middle. And yeah. So, which kind of screwed up my plans, because I have other issues with this plant. If you water these plants too much, they will drink water no matter what. But the problem is with these plants is too much water will cause dry rot. Okay, dry rot basically means is your plants are getting so much water that it's rotting the plant, and they're not drinking the water as fast as they should, and because of the dry rot, it's like drowning, but in the air. Like imagine just someone just pouring water into your face and your mouth and your throat, and you can't swallow it. You're just drowning and drowning and drowning, and that's what the problem is. So, and not only that, but because it's turning, it's so much that it's causing stress on the root. So what I'm trying to do here is create a new root system by putting soil around where the stem is, where a good part of the stem is, and creating a new root system. And it usually, that's supposed to take like at least a few weeks. Um, and at that point, when this starts to go to shit down here, I can just cut this off. I can just surgically cut this off and then replant it. The problem with that is now I have this issue. And technically, in a theoretically way, I would rather put the dirt around this part and start a new root system as opposed to down here. But because these stupid worms got in and screwed this all up, now I got to deal with this. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that I solved the problem and this isn't going to rear its ugly head anymore. Because of fungus issues and so it's constantly dealing with that. Kind of have a similar situation down here where this guy, I'm sure, is starting to be a little funky, but see, this guy's starting to come out of the pot. Okay, you see how it's turning, it's going straight and it's going to go out. So, and it's coming up, so it's going with the sun, so I have to constantly turn him to follow the sun so he would keep going around the pot. Otherwise it will just go right out the pot. The pepper plants here are using this bin from Timo. These bins from Timo are kind of funky. I mean, they do really well growing small plants, but once your small plants get big enough, you need to move them into something bigger. This one, I had 4 zucchini plants here at one point, and 3 of them died because of the heat. We had a heat wave, and also zucchini plants are very sensitive to movement, so because they grow a huge root system. So anything you do around the plant, you've got to make sure that you're not affecting the root system, because their roots will go either straight down and out, or they will go on top and out. So you got to be careful what you're doing, not to manhandle them too much. So as this one is, as you can see, this one's decided he's going to turn with the box, so he's going this way. And I got 1 zucchini here so far. I don't know if you guys see that. Now I've had grown zucchinis already. This is an updated video from the heat wave we had, and then we had a huge rainstorm for about a week. So from hot to wet and then back to hot again, it can be pretty dramatic for your plants. So when it's a heat wave, you want to make sure your plants have gotten shade, and then you don't want to be in the shade for too long because you still have to water them, and that's when dry rot can occur as well. Too much shade, not enough sun to keep the wet to dry cycle going. So here's these cucumber plants. I don't know if you can, I'm gonna back up and so you can see how big these guys have gone so far. And this is, and mind you, I planted these about a month ago, and they're already, I mean, look like I'm in a Brazilian rainforest at this point. But so I've got some growing up this pole here, and it's starting to come this way. I've got cucumber plants growing along here. The pot. This is all from the pot, by the way. All from the pot. And I got another group coming up here. Another guy coming up top of here. And so far, so good. They should be producing cucumbers at some point. Unfortunately, they have not flowered. And you need flowers for cucumbers. You need male and female flowers, and neither one of them have popped up so far. So, just fingers crossed that these guys keep staying healthy. Then here's the tomato plants here. Front of the garden now, as you can see. If I back up, you can see the whole shebang, the whole operation. Now here we go. Here's another one. Same situation. This is more dramatic, I guess you could say, because I got, now see how this rot has gone bad. Now I saw this weeks ago, and I knew this was coming down the pike, so I started this one. This was the first one I did, and we're seeing if the doing this operation, and they seem to be taking to it really well. It looks like they're getting a root system going on here, because he's still happy, and as rotten as this is, they're still pumping water in. I mean, still getting some kind of nutrients. So I'm hoping this root system is actually taking foot, and then at some point when this is not working anymore, when it's not even being used anymore, then I can just chop it off, disconnect it, and then go with this one, and then replant everything back inside the pot. So speaking of that, this is the rot system situation I've gotten over here. As you can see, it's pretty gross. I tried to clean it up as much as I could this morning. When this stuff starts to happen, all you can do is treat it with hydrogen peroxide and water, and maybe some neem oil to keep the fungus from happening. If you've got massive fungus going on with these things, you have to be very diligent and clean very well with them. I take some wet wipes and wipe them down, and then wipe off all the excess fungus off of it, dispose of it. Try not to get it into soil so much, like there's some down here. I just take this, chuck it out. You don't want this fungus in the soil, because this type of fungus is a bacterial fungus, and it will stay in your soil for a good while, and you don't want to have to. That's my biggest worry, is when I replant it, that this stuff won't affect the next one. So I just spray as much hydrogen peroxide as I can and neem oil to prevent all that. That's that one. And then this one, I should have probably took care of it a lot sooner, because I just found out today that this one started having massive dry rot, or wet rot, whatever you can call it. As you can see, I had to do emergency action here. I was wondering why it was still, like, the leaves. So when these things start happening, you have the leaves start turning brown on the edge. Okay, and it's just not getting enough nutrients to prevent getting burned from it. Unlike this one, see, they're both in the same spot, and one's doing better than the other one. So there's something going on, right? So, like, even down here where your vegetables are supposed to be growing, there's brownness going on. Okay, I don't know if you can see down there. See all that? Like this, that shouldn't be happening. That means they're not getting enough water for some reason. Nutrients isn't happening here. So I had to be a doctor this morning and doctor that up. And like I said, this was starting to rot pretty bad down in here. So I had to do some emergency cutting, and it wouldn't surprise me if there was a worm in there. I think I pulled a worm out of it. So when that happens, you've got to do your due diligence. And another thing too, this is a makeshift, obviously you can tell right now. I don't know why I mentioned it, but so took some cardboard, I had some leftover cardboard, and just packed enough dirt in there. Now, which is odd, because this is a different one, right? So this is different than that. Okay, this one actually has the stem is still inside it, whereas opposed to outside of it. But because the way the angle was, to get the dirt on there, it's going straight up. So I have to going straight up. So I had to pack this thing, pack it around it, and pack as much dirt I can in there. And you literally have to pack it in there. If you have to do this ever, if you try to do this way that I did, you've got to make sure the dirt is all the way around the root, the stem, everything. okay, in order to create new roots. Otherwise, you're gonna have air pockets in there, and the roots won't grow as fast, and it won't be as how do you say, as healthy, I guess you say, or something like that. But the roots won't grow as fast, won't grow as good. So you got to make sure that that dirt is all the way around and underneath and packed in there. Unfortunately, I had to take dirt from in here, and as you can see, there's roots all over the place in here, and so it is what it is. What are you gonna do when you're lacking dirt? What are you gonna do? You know, I mean, I could probably take some dirt out of here, because this guy isn't using much dirt on that one anymore. But yeah, whatever. I'm gonna need more than that. Just that little bit ain't gonna be enough. Let's see. Let's go around here. So I got the more stellantis growing over here. Or clematis. They call it clematis, stellantis. The same kind of shit. Same kind of flower. And the roses. Roses everywhere. First time farmers, first time gardeners, just so you know, squirrels like to put peanuts. I don't know where they're getting the peanuts from, but they will plant peanuts in your garden so they can have more peanuts later for some. That's their theory. I don't know what squirrels do that for, but anyway, don't be surprised when you go in your pot to get the dirt out and just all these peanuts in there. That's what they do. Just fucking peanuts over there. I'll leave them over there for him. Okay. Let's see. People are probably asking, they're probably thinking, okay, why do you have zucchini plants in your parking lot? Well, I don't have much light when it comes to the tree being in the yard. So I have to find ways to get light, access to light. And the fact is, the sun comes up in the morning on that side, goes all the way around, and comes down on that side. So I have plants over here that catch the rays on that side, and then plants over here catch the rays on that side. So it is what it is. Let's go back up here. Oh, and my other pepper plants right here. And they've been slow on the uptake. They grew a lot, but then it's taken a long time to grow peppers. And I think anemone has something to do with that. I've since cut back on that. Once I realized that that might have been the issue, I've cut back a lot. So. But they grew tall as shit. I'm 6'1", and this is my arm's straight out right now. So I figure this is at least 4 feet. Well, they're in a pot, so 3 feet maybe. But they're tall. Starting to get little buds here. Maybe they'll start flowering. If you're a gardener, if you want to be a gardener and you don't have a lot of bees in your neighborhood, don't even worry about gardening. It's not even. If you ain't never seen a bee in your neighborhood, don't even bother with it then, because you need bees to garden. And they've been I haven't seen a lot of bees this year. Wasps, bees, I don't give a shit. They all pollinate, so. Well, anyway, that's it. I got a little fern down here growing on my rocks patio. You might see the patio. You might see. See? I'll put that in. plants down here. That's their garden over there. My girlfriend's fake plants there. Looks like it might rain today. Ugh. Worms are disgusting. Ugh. Maybe next time I'll show a worm. Okay. All right, and that's it. Hope you enjoyed that.